What if I told you the most dangerous weapon on the Chicago Bears defense in 2026 was drafted in the 5th round, missed 7 games last season, and still nearly single-handedly carried the pass rush down the stretch? What if I told you this guy is just now entering his prime, and the numbers from his final 6 games are so absurd, they borderline don't look real? And what if the Bears front office quietly knows this, which is exactly why they haven't been aggressive adding to the defensive line? Buckle up, because we are diving deep into Austin Booker, and by the end of this, you are going to be a believer. If this kind of Bears content fires you up the way it fires me up, do me a favor right now, hit that like button, drop a subscribe, and share this with every Bears fan you know. Let's set the stage first. The Chicago Bears defense has been a genuine conversation piece this offseason. There are real questions about the defensive line. Grady Jarrett and Montez Sweat have big contracts. Justin Fields, wait, wrong team. Let's stay focused. The point is, the Bears are somewhat handcuffed financially when it comes to adding elite pass rush help from the outside. And yet, there hasn't been this overwhelming panic to go out and spend. Some people found that confusing. But here's a theory that makes a lot of sense. The Bears believe Austin Booker is about to become a genuinely elite edge rusher. And honestly, the evidence backs that up in a major way. Now let's rewind to understand how we got here. Booker came into the league a couple of years ago with enormous raw potential but very obvious developmental holes. The honest scouting report on him as a rookie was that he probably could have used another year in college football. He was raw. He was learning on the job. He flashed. There were plays where you'd see him and go, okay, there's something real there. But overall, he was a rotational piece still figuring out how to be a professional. That was year 1. Year 2 was supposed to be the step forward. And it was, just not in the way anyone expected, because he went down injured and missed the first 7 games of the season. 7 games. Just gone. And when he came back, he needed a game or 2 to shake the rust off. So in theory, year 2 was kind of stolen from him before it even started. But here is where the story gets genuinely exciting. Once Booker got his legs under him, once the rust burned off and the confidence started building, he was a completely different player. The arrow didn't just point up. It launched. His run defense, which was always his weakest area, climbed to roughly league average, a legitimate jump from where he was as a rookie. And his pass rush. That's where things got electric. Here is where I need you to sit with these numbers for a second, because they are not normal. Over his final 6 games of the season, including 2 playoff games, Austin Booker recorded 26 tackles. For an edge rusher, 26 tackles in 6 games is an absurd number. That means he was around the football constantly. Add 4.5 sacks to that. Add 23 pressures. Add 8 quarterback hits. And this is the part that genuinely stings when you think about it. He had 2 additional sacks wiped off the board by penalties that were, to put it generously, extremely questionable calls. One of those plays involved Jordan Love literally ducking his head into the hit. Booker was aiming for the chest. Love's own movement caused the contact. The sack got erased. So if you want to talk about what this stretch actually looked like when Booker was doing everything right, could have been 6.5 sacks in 6 games. That is not a depth player. That is not a rotational piece. That is an ascending star. Question of the day. I genuinely want to know what you think. How many sacks does Austin Booker record in the 2026 season? Drop your number in the comments right now. Let's see who's the most optimistic and who needs to be talked off the ledge. Here's something that almost never gets brought up when people talk about Booker, and it is a significant piece of the puzzle. After his first game back from injury, where the Bears understandably eased him into the rotation at around 50% of the snaps, he essentially never left the field. We're talking 84% of defensive snaps one week. Then 92%. Then 89%. Then 90% in the playoffs. There were games where he was on the field for nearly every single defensive snap, playing more than Montez Sweat, who is being paid like a franchise cornerstone. That kind of snap count isn't just coaches filling a roster need. That is coaches watching a player and deciding they can't afford to take him off the field. That is a guy earning trust in real time, week after week, until the coaching staff looks at each other and goes, "Yeah, we're not sitting him down." And that relentless availability connects directly to what made scouts drool over him coming out of college in the first place. This guy has an elite motor. He never stops. He chases plays from behind. He fights through blocks when most players would give up on the rep. He is always around the football. Some players with elite athleticism coast. Austin Booker does not coast. He sprints to every play like his career depends on it. That energy, that motor, it's why some people started drawing comparisons to Max Crosby when Booker came out of college. Both were somewhat overlooked in the draft. Both came from smaller programs relative to the spotlight. Both have similar body types and a relentless, blue-collar approach to the game. Now, to be very clear, we are not sitting here saying Austin Booker is the next Max Crosby. Crosby has become one of the premium run defenders in the entire NFL, and that level of two-way dominance may be beyond what Booker realistically reaches. But the comparison in terms of trajectory, in terms of motor and mentality and physical profile, you understand it when you watch him play. And think about where Crosby is now versus where he was entering year 3. That's the conversation we should be having about Booker right now. So what is a realistic expectation for 2026? If Montez Sweat is your high-floor, reliable veteran presence, your solid B-plus guy who does his job without blowing the roof off, then Austin Booker is your upside bet, your high-variance weapon, the guy with the ceiling that makes defensive coordinators lose sleep in film study. 8 to 10 sacks is not an unreasonable projection. It is actually a conservative reading of his final 6-game stretch if you project it over a full 17-game season. The full season projection from those 6 games comes out to 13 sacks, 65 pressures, and over 70 tackles. Nobody is expecting that peak to sustain over a full year. Football doesn't work that way, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. But 8 sacks, 10 sacks. That range feels genuinely achievable. And here's the thing that should matter to every Bears fan heading into this season. If Austin Booker takes that leap, if he becomes a legitimate double-digit sack threat, it changes the entire identity of this defense. It gives the back end more time to work. It creates one-on-one situations for other rushers. It makes Grady Jarrett's interior presence even more disruptive. One elite edge rusher elevates everyone around him. So let me ask you this. Are the Bears quietly sitting on one of the best sleeper pass rushers in the NFC? Because everything we just broke down says the answer might be yes. Year 3. Motor that doesn't quit. Finishing speed that's only getting sharper. And a chip on his shoulder from a year that injury tried to take away from him. Austin Booker is coming. The only question is whether the rest of the NFL is ready for it. Bear down.